any teams that I thought or at least gave the Cowboys problems. And so that year in 1980, it was an NFC Championship game, and the Cowboys actually had to come to Veterans Stadium and play the Eagles there.
Mm-hmm.
The Eagles chose to wear their white jerseys, which they never did at home, just to force the Cowboys to wear their quote-unquote bad luck blue jerseys. And the Eagles wind up winning that game. And that was the day that I decided, like, this is the team I'm sticking with. Like, I'm not – those other teams are cool, but I'm an Eagles fan. And I became an Eagles fan that year, 1980, at that NFC Championship game.
Wow. I remember that game because that's the Harold Carmichael over the shoulder catch in the corner of the end zone. I remember that.
And that's also Wilbur Montgomery, that off tackle run. He went for about 50-some yards really the game sealer.
Yep. It's here's the irony in that. That's the very same year I became a Raiders fan for the very exact same reason. The Bears were sorry, and I became a Raiders fan. And the Raiders end up beating the San Diego Chargers to play the Philadelphia Eagles in that very Super Bowl. So it's just ironic that that's when you became an Eagles fan. Simultaneously, I'm becoming a Raiders fan. And my uncle also was rooting for Air Coryell and that whole crew. And just the luck of the draw. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was rooting for the Chargers to win that game.
Yeah.
Yep.
I remember that. Yep. And I remember having on a Raiders sweatshirt, and my mom bought me a series of sweatshirts, and for whatever reason, she only put my name, Brian, on the back of the Raiders shirt, on the Raiders sweatshirt, and that's how I became a Raiders fan.
So that was it. That's funny.
Yep.
That's good, though.
My uncle walks in, your boy's losing, and then Jim Plunkett snaps, goes into a thing, wins the game. I just happened to have – it was just pure luck. The only reason I wore that shirt is because my name was on it. I had never met another kid named Brian. I thought I was the only Brian on earth, so I thought that was a cool shirt. And that's how I became a Raiders fan. That's insane.
That's a great story.
Yeah, I'm listening. And I totally remember because those games happened the exact same. That Cowboy game was the early game. The Raider game was the late game on NBC. So I remember those games. So that's dope. Now you're an Eagles fan. Who's your favorite Eagles fan? I mean, you got Harold Carmichael, you got Ron Jaworski, you got Randall Cunningham, Reggie White. Who's your favorite Eagles player?
That's too tough to pick, man. There's a bunch of them. You just named a few greats. I will say this. My sophomore year in high school, I wore 17 in honor of Harold Carmichael. My junior year, freshman year, I wore 17 for Harold Carmichael. My sophomore year, I wore 31. I reversed that. I wore 31 as a freshman. I wore 17 as a sophomore for those two guys. So those are definitely my two favorite players at that time. And then, but over the years, man, definitely Randall, Chris Carter. A lot of it. Fred Barnett. I was a huge Fred Barnett fan until I met him, and I was like kind of disappointed because he wasn't as cool as I thought he could have been. But bunch of guys, man. Damn, Heath Sherman was just random running back that was dope. Deuce Staley. Jaworski was cool. I was definitely a McNabb fan. A bunch of guys, man. It's too many guys. Definitely not one guy that rules the whole thing. But Fred Barnett was a big guy for me because I was playing Madden that same year, and I was using the Eagles, and I used to throw the ball. To Fred Barnett all the time, and he used to get busy in the game, and he got busy on TV. So I was really loving that guy. Keith Byers.
Yeah, man.
There's so many dudes.
Jackson, The Eagles have a rich history. Yeah, they have a rich history.
I'm naming all these offensive players, but there's definitely some Bill Bergey, and there's definitely some Roynell Young and Herman Edwards going all the way back. Like, it's a bunch of defensive guys. Reggie White, of course, you mentioned him. Rest in peace, Jerome Brown. I mean, come on, man. So many dudes.
Reggie White.
Many dudes.
Yeah. The Eagles.
Yep.
I mean, it's amazing what as much talent that has gone through Philadelphia. That's the first Super Bowl this year. Now, with that being said, you got to because you are such a socially aware MC, and the Eagles are your team and they're winning. How was it? You know, you're struggling with this whole NFL boycott, and then you got your team winning. Where are you right now?
Yeah, I didn't struggle.
Not even, huh?
I didn't struggle. I didn't watch one game last season.
Wow. How did you come to that?
I mean, it was a very easy decision. It was a very easy decision. I was just so adamant about the fact that the NFL was basically blackballing Colin Kaepernick for his stance, and I thought that was ridiculous. That they were like literally keeping this guy out of the league. First, you don't want to believe it. It's like, nah, he's gonna get a job, you know, because some of these guys are just bums. Some of these backups are terrible. So, one of these general managers are gonna definitely hire this guy. And as the season went on, I'm like, wow, they're really not going to hire this guy. And I was really just holding out. When I first started boycotting, I was just holding out. I said, I'm gonna boycott until he gets a job. And as the season wore on, I realized they're not going to give this guy a job. And so I just did not watch. I didn't even watch the playoff games. The only game I watched, and I will admit this to you, was the Super Bowl, and that was just because of my history as a fan with that team. I watched the Super Bowl, the only game for the entire season. I didn't watch no playoffs, no regular season, no preseason, no nothing. I watched the Super Bowl. And that was kind of like my gift, I guess, to myself for, you know, being strong and not watching the whole season. But some will say I shouldn't even have watched that.
Now, I as far as entertainment purposes, even though this is a sports show, I didn't watch the Raiders at all last year either, and I just for the very same reasons. And I'm gonna continue not to watch. Due to the fact that the ownership in NFL, they capitulated to the president, and when you did that, you slapped our community in the face.
They doubled down. They doubled down on the ignorance.
Yes, it's insane. And how do you think, as a community, we should react to their disrespect?
I think we have to show them our economic power, and that's one of the things that, as a community, we don't do a good job of. And they did it in the '60s. They did bus boycotts and took cities to their knees by not taking the bus and walking to work and walking to school, and just the commitment that they had then. Like, I feel like, you know, us as a society now, we're so spoiled. Everything is just so laid out for us that it's difficult for us to all agree on. Some things I think should just be universally, we should be able to agree on. And if the players, and I gotta go to the players. I have to go to the players first, because if the players had done what they could have done in this situation and supported Colin Kaepernick, I wouldn't have had to miss last season. All the players had to do was band together and say, if this guy don't get a job, we're all taking a knee. Had every player taken a knee, the league would have nobody to point to. They left Colin Kaepernick out there to dangle by himself. Maybe 1-2 guys here or there, and they got most of those guys got weeded out too. But had the stars of the league, had some white players, you know, put it on their shoulders. If Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers had made it their business to take that stance, all of a sudden white America maybe looks at it a little bit differently. Unfortunately, it takes way too much courage to step out in that way, and guys are worried more about their livelihood than the bigger picture, and that's unfortunate because these same athletes are going to one day not be in the league, and maybe soon not be in the league, because The average player only plays 2.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
These guys are going to be in their cars, regular citizens, not in the league no more, driving somewhere, get pulled over, and then they're going to be thinking about, oh, shoot, like, maybe I should have stood up, maybe I should have taken a knee and protested and made the league do something about, made society do something about what's going on. Because right now, I got these racist cops behind me in my car, and I might get killed right now.
Exactly. And it's crazy because for the very first time, I didn't tell you my age. I'm 47. I'll be 48 in the middle of the summer, at the end of the summer. And
yeah, I did that math. You said 88.
Yeah, I
got you.
Yeah, and I remember 2 years ago for the very first. I've actually been jumped by cops. I've suffered at the hands of dirty cops. But I remember for the very first time in my life 2 years ago, I got pulled over, and I said to myself, "Damn, I may die." And that was the very first time. All the times I've been pulled over, I literally said, "This might be it." And You're right. And that's why I have, my show is growing, and I have, I've been preaching, because I'm a firm believer in our community. We are the pinnacle of cool, so to speak. We enhance pop culture. You might have 1,000 pops on the oven, but we add the spices to it, and we make the dinner a meal, so to speak. When you go to bebop, you go to jazz, you go to rock and roll, R&B and soul, hip hop. As soon as we put our stamp on it, everybody jumps on. We made, especially us in the hip hop community, we made football more popular because the moment we start wearing jerseys, the moment we start, we got immersed in the hip hop, whether it be Deion Sanders making rap songs or what have you. Hip hop, basketball, football went from being the number 2 sport to being the number 1 sport. And I honestly believe, as a community, if we focus on other things like soccer, and I know that's not a very popular thing, but it's just as lucrative. And if we start watching football, college football, as you stated, we would bring football on a professional level to its needs.
Right. Well, I've been definitely watching. I've been watching more college. That's my only football fix now, is college.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
because I've been preaching that for a few months. Something else, but you being a former football player and being basically an independent contractor as an MC, not dependent on labels and things like that. How do you feel about these people, consistently telling these dudes, especially in football, take less, give billionaires a discount, so millionaires, instead of just maximizing your ability to earn? How do you feel about that?
I'm sorry, repeat the question.
I said, when you hear people actually being an independent contractor yourself, when you hear people say, hey, take less money for the team, what are your thoughts when you hear that?
I mean, the players are just really missing the boat on what power they have. They have a great deal of leverage that they are almost afraid to exercise. And I know they'll just keep bringing the young players in, but just imagine if on the first Sunday of NFL season that players and some white players decide to not suit up for a game. They're not. What are they going to do? They're going to cut half the teams. They're not going to cut half the teams. They're not. They're going to say, okay, guys, what do we need to do to get you guys to play? That's all they're going to do. Because we saw what it was like when they tried to use replacement players during that strike back in the 80s, whatever that was. We saw that was a horrible product. Yeah, they couldn't wait to get back to regular football because those games were terrible, and I just wish that the players would find that courage, that strength. I heard rumors that there were going to be some big name players that were planning on sitting out or whatever, and that's the thing. Like the guys who already have their locked in contracts where they're veterans and they got their marquee names. Those guys should be the guys taking the lead. I understand some of these younger guys, first-year players, they're expendable, and they'll quickly get somebody else that's willing to